A Christmas Carol, A Ghost Story of Christmas. Charles Dickens. Stave 1. Marley's Ghost. It was just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon on December the 24th, 1843. In the heart of the city of London it was dark and foggy and very, very cold. There was snow on the ground and ice on all the windows. Above the door of one small money-lending office there was an old dirty sign, Scrooge and Marley. They were the names of the 2 men who had started the business. At that moment, one of them, Ebenezer Scrooge, was sitting in his little room inside, writing in a book by the light of a candle. Scrooge was a mean and nasty old man who made money for himself by lending money to other people. He was a man with no family and no friends. His heart itself was cold. His nose was thin and pointed. His body was stiff. His eyes were red, his lips were blue, and his voice was high and sharp. The heat of summer couldn't warm him, and the cold of winter couldn't make him any colder. Nobody ever smiled at him in the street and said, "Hello, Scrooge, how are you? Would you like to come around for dinner?" No children ever asked him what the time was. No beggars ever stopped him to ask for money. Nobody ever asked him to show them the way. Even the guide dogs of the blind pulled their masters away from him. But did Scrooge care? No, not at all. But what about the other name on the sign? Well, Jacob Marley was dead. He had been dead for 7 years. That was certain. Now it is very important for you to understand that he was dead, or the events in this story will not seem very wonderful. Please think about the play Hamlet. It is very important that we believe that Hamlet's father is dead and that it is his ghost that Hamlet meets on top of the castle walls and not just his father taking a walk at night. The same is true of Jacob Marley. He was as dead as a doornail. However, Scrooge had never painted out Marley's name on the sign. Sometimes people meeting Scrooge for the first time called him Scrooge, and sometimes they called him Marley. But he did not care which name they used. On that December afternoon, Scrooge's door was open so that he could see the clerk, Bob Cratchit, who was busy copying letters in his dark little room. There was only a very small fire burning in Scrooge's fireplace, but poor Bob had just one piece of coal on his fire. "Are you shivering, Cratchit?" called Scrooge. "Yes, sir." "Well, stop it." "I'm very sorry, sir, but it is very cold. I wonder, sir, if I could have another piece of coal." "One is quite enough. Coal is money. If you're cold, warm yourself at your candle. Right, Cratchit?" "Yes, sir." "Then write, Cratchit." "Yes, sir." Bob tried to warm himself at his candle, but he did not have a good imagination. He put on his long white scarf and continued shivering. Suddenly, a cheerful voice cried out from the front door of the office. "Merry Christmas, everyone!" It was Scrooge's nephew, Fred. He had been walking very fast and his face was very red. His eyes shone. "Bah, humbug!" said Scrooge. "Hello, Bob. How is your family?" "Shut that door!" shouted Scrooge. "Ah, Uncle, a Merry Christmas to you." "Who's that?" "It's me, Uncle, your nephew Fred. I've come to wish you a Merry Christmas." "Bah, humbug!" "Christmas is a humbug, Uncle. I'm sure you don't really mean that." "I do mean it," replied Scrooge. "What is merry about Christmas? And why are you so merry? You're poor enough." "But why are you not merry, Uncle? You're rich enough." "Bah, humbug!" "And why are you so cross, Uncle?" Because I live in a world of fools, all saying Merry Christmas all the time. What does Christmas mean to you, eh? Christmas is the time when you have to pay all your bills, even though you don't have any money. It's the time when you find you are 1 year older than last Christmas, but you are not 1 hour richer. If I could, I would make sure that every fool who walks around saying Merry Christmas was boiled with his own Christmas pudding and a branch of holly put through his heart. Uncle, nephew, you celebrate Christmas the way you like, and I will celebrate Christmas the way I like. But you don't celebrate it. Well, let me not celebrate it if I want to. What good has Christmas ever done you? To me, Christmas has always been a very good time of the year when people are kind and pleasant and open up their hearts to other people. It has never put any money in my pocket, but I believe it has done me good in the past, it is doing me good in the present, and it will do me good in the future. Bob clapped when he heard this. Scrooge stared at him. If I hear another sound from you, Cratchit, you will be able to celebrate Christmas this year by losing your job. Yes, sir. Don't be so angry, Uncle Ebenezer, continued Fred. Please come and have dinner with us all tomorrow evening, Christmas Day. Oh, yes, I shall. Oh, good. Well, we shall be starting with drinks at about... Yes, continued Scrooge, I shall see you in hell before I ever visit your house. Well, Uncle, I am very sorry that you feel this way, but I shall not lose my Christmas spirit. So, once again, a very Merry Christmas to you. Good afternoon. And a Merry Christmas to you and your family, Bob, and a Happy New Year. Thank you, sir, replied Bob. Good afternoon, said Scrooge loudly. As Fred left the office, 2 rather fat men entered it, with books and papers in their hands. Scrooge and Marley's, I believe, said one of them, looking at a piece of paper. Do I have the pleasure of talking to Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley? Yes, you do, replied Scrooge coldly. Are you Mr. Marley, perhaps? Mr. Marley has been dead for 7 years. He died exactly 7 years ago on this very night, Christmas Eve. Oh, I see. So you must be Mr. Scrooge. Yes, what do you want? Well, at this happy season of the year, we feel it is very important to do a little something to help those hundreds of thousands of poor people who do not have anything to eat or anywhere to live. Are there still any prisons? Replied Scrooge. Oh, yes, sir. There are still many prisons. Are there still any workhouses? Yes, there are, sir. I'm glad to hear it. But, Mr. Scrooge, we feel that they do not provide any Christian comfort to those who have done nothing wrong. So, a group of us are trying to collect money to buy the poor some food and drink and ways to keep warm. We feel Christmas is the best time of year because many people suffer while others have such a merry time. The man pulled out a pen. How much would you like to give? Nothing, said Scrooge. Oh, I see, sir. You would prefer us not to put your name on the list? No, I would prefer you to leave me alone. I do not have a merry time at Christmas, and I do not wish to give money so that lazy people can be merry. I pay my taxes, so I already support the prisons and the workhouses. Those who have no money must go there. But many of them can't go there, sir, and many of them would rather die. Oh, would they? Said Scrooge. Well, if they would rather die, let them die. That will help to reduce the population. They are not my business. This here is my business, and I am very busy. Good afternoon, gentlemen. The men left. A few minutes later, a small boy wearing rags stopped outside the office and began to sing a Christmas carol. God bless you, merry gentlemen, may nothing you dismay. But then he saw Scrooge's face through the window and ran away at once.